Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Emma Westfire. You can just call me Emma. Today I am going to be ranking Star Stable NPCs. I came across K.Archive's video and I was motivated to make my own Star Stable NPC tier list, so their channel will be linked in the description below as well as shown on the screen for you. So definitely go and check out their video because they did it first. Anyways, let's get right into the tier list. Okay, let's start with Anne. Anne has had it rough. People need to give my girl Anne a break. It's not her fault that she's blonde, pretty, and was born into a rich family. I'm only half joking. I think she's grateful for what she has, especially after being trapped in Pandoria for as long as she was. And I think that she's had a lot of character development throughout the main story quests. Although she previously fell into the mean blonde girl trope, I think that Star Stable realized they already had that with Loretta and decided to move away from that image. I think she's vengeful and angry, which gives her character a lot more depth than when she was quite literally the perfect girl. And let's also mention that she has mommy issues. Her mom was very demanding and overbearing, so I think that adds a little more character and relatability to her. She's not my favorite. I'm gonna put her in fierce though. She's up there. Okay, speaking of Loretta, I'm gonna do Loretta next. Where is she? She's right here. She's a diva. Who is this diva? I wish they kept her attitude because she's that girl. If she were a real person, I imagine she'd be one of the girlies competing in the McClay finals. One of the equitation hunter girls in Wellington, Florida, with the big eck horses. And I think we need to start a petition to make Loretta mean again because they made her way too apologetic. Let's do Tan. So she's Loretta's best friend. She's confident, but she's thoughtful, especially towards Loretta. And I feel like this could be totally wrong because I haven't done quests with Tan in quite some time. I feel like Tan gets pushed around a bit. I want to see her be more front and center. I feel like she's doing a lot of the work. Like, she has the quest with taking photos of the racetrack. I feel like she is really organized and does a lot for the Bobcats, and maybe that doesn't get completely recognized. That, you know, could be a completely out-of-pocket take. I'm not sure. I just haven't done the quests in a really long time, but that's what I remember. The Bobcats are such a big part of the game, but I feel like we don't see much of them anymore. Once we really get out of Moreland and Fort Pinta, we don't really do any more quests with them aside from unlocking the races that they have to offer. Overall, I think Tan is like the Gretchen Wiener of Star Stable, so I'm gonna put her in fierce. I think she's fierce. I like Tan. Let's go on to, let's do Alex. Now, I might get a little bit of backlash for this one, I don't know, but Alex is annoying. She's way too protective of James, and I'll get into how I feel about James in a second, but naturally I get fed up with her because she's loud, she's intense, and she has an extremely short temper. She puts herself and the rest of the Soul Riders in danger almost every time they go on a mission due to her own lack of self-control. In some cases, the disobedience is reasonable and it does end up working, like in the quest Save Justin, but a lot of the times she's just putting everyone in danger, I feel like. I think she's very stereotypically queer, and I appreciate that, and I'm a really big fan of the representation, especially with her and her relationship with Maya. I think it's really nice to see a game properly representing the queer community. But overall, Alex, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put her in biflop because I just don't like her. To jail. James, if you can dish it, you can take it. He is so diabolical. He's constantly talking himself up, acting like he's all tough, but he can't handle the smoke. Like, how many times has our character had to save him from trouble and we never get any gratitude? And let's also not forget to mention that he's a manipulative freak who likes to pretend to be a horse as a cash grab. Like, if I could, I'd give him the death sentence. Let's do another Soul Rider. We're gonna do Lisa. I was really disappointed with her character update. I feel like she feels like a completely different person. I think all of the other characters kept their main qualities, but Lisa really lost her spark. She was initially a punk rock icon, and now she's a small town western girl. I think she's completely lost her relatability. I think in general the Soul Riders feel a lot more stale and mechanical following their updates, especially because their backstories were essentially upheaved, meaning that we lost any trace of the previous games and lore within the main story quest. And I'm someone, I can appreciate the change, but I really do feel like Lisa was kind of the brunt of the change. I feel like it has no resemblance of who she previously was, which is I'm just gonna put her in forgettable because of that. Like, I don't necessarily dislike her as a character, but she feels really flat. I'm gonna do our last Soul Rider. Let's do Linda. So she's smart, she's relatable, she's a big stickler for following the rules, which I feel like I can kind of relate to her in that way. I think I process things in a similar way to her. She likes to take things slow, but I do feel like she'd be the girl to raise her hand and remind the teacher to collect homework after they forgot. I feel like she's kind of a tattletale, but you know, I don't entirely dislike her. I think she has some really nice qualities. I think she did become a bit more relatable to the community following her update, but definitely still feels a bit mechanical and a bit flat. But I do think that she has more character than all the other Soul Riders, personally. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put her in Fierce. We like Linda. Alright, I'm gonna skip around a little bit. Let's do Fripp. So Fripp, straight to jail. Fripp is scheming. Fripp is up to no good, and I have a bad feeling about him. I've been seeing a lot of evil Fripp theories, and it's made me realize that Fripp is just using the Soul Riders as his pawns to do his dirty work. His universal, astrological dirty work that he doesn't want to go out and do himself. Like, when is the last time you have seen Fripp get off his ass and do something? Never. He's never done anything for himself. He uses humans, even though he's supposedly the most powerful being, aside from Garnock. He uses humans, the Soul Riders, to air out his dirty laundry. So, flop. Straight to jail. I'm gonna move on to the Dark Riders. I'm gonna start with Katya. Katya, now, she's a pick-me. She wants to be chosen so bad. I think she's an edgelord. Like, she is somebody that I would absolutely never in a million years be friends with or want to be within a 6-mile radius of. I think she just radiates absolutely horrid energy and brings down the entire vibe of a room as soon as she walks in. And I know she's a Dark Rider and she's supposed to be a villain and she's not supposed to be super likable, but even the other Dark Riders are not as unlikable as Katya is. I hate her. So she's going straight to jail. Straight to jail. I'm gonna do Sabine. So please, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, please put down your pitchforks and torches at this time, because I can see you guys picking them up with what I'm about to say. I don't like Sabine. I don't like Sabine. I can appreciate some of her qualities. Like, I do like that she is she's unique and she cares about the earth, which I can appreciate. She really doesn't care about how other people perceive her, and she does what she wants. She's very independent, and I can appreciate that, but I think she acts a little tougher than she truly is on the outside. I think it's a facade. And I don't think she's that attractive, unfortunately. I'm just not into Sabine. I don't hate her entirely, but I think she's forgettable. I don't think she's not the best character, but she's not the worst character. She's just very mid to me. Let's do Jessica. Jessica, I don't have strong emotions on her, so I'm gonna put her in forgettable. I really think she's just there. Like, nobody thinks about her. I don't think about her. When she shows up in a quest, I don't remember her. And I know she was a really relevant character in the original games, but in Star Stable Online, she's irrelevant. She's forgettable. And I don't have much else to say about her other than that. Let's do Darko. So, Darko is a male manipulator. Like, this man is... he's like a very stereotypical male villain. And I don't know if we know too much about him. I hope in the future that we get more of a backstory on him, but I feel like I don't know anything about him. I feel like all the other characters have kind of a story that come along with them. But for Darko, I think he's just weird and evil. And I don't know what the reason is, so I don't feel really anything towards him. But, you know, I think I'm gonna put him in forgettable because I just don't, like Jessica, I just don't have much to say about him. Okay, Mr. Sands. So Mr. Sands, we're gonna put him in biflop. Biflop, because to me, he is not nearly as insufferable as any of the characters who are in the straight to jail section. I think he has a lot of lore. He has a lot of lore, and I feel like Star Stable Online has not done a really good job of going into depth in his story. I think they could do a lot more with his storyline, but they literally, spoiler alert, so plug your ears if you haven't done the most recent story quest. He's like dead. Darko pushed him into the portal, so they just killed him off, and I kind of am really disappointed with that because, again, I just feel like they didn't really develop his story a lot in Star Stable Online compared to how much depth he had in the previous games. And I know that Star Stable is really stepping away from the original games and they're stepping into a new era of the main storyline, but I think it was really kind of pathetic to just kill him off like that and just leave it kind of on a cliffhanger. I'm not sure though, but I think he's a flop because obviously he's supposed to be the big villain aside from Garnock. Okay, let's do some of the keepers of Aideen, some of the druids. Let's do Avalon. Avalon, who is this diva? I love Avalon. I think he minds his own business. He stays in his lane. You know, he hangs around his cottage. He's a homebody, and I think that is really relatable. I feel like he does not speak many words, but he is one of the most relatable characters in the entirety of the game, and I feel like that says a lot because he has very little dialogue throughout the entirety of the game, and we don't know what he looks like. We have very little details about Avalon, aside from the fact that he is the younger brother of Evergrey. So the fact that I feel like he is relatable, I think says a lot. I think he's a great character. I think he's fun. I think it's a nice little Easter egg to see him, you know, interesting around his little cottage in Valedale. So speaking of Evergrey, let's do Evergrey. I don't think he warrants a buy flop, but he is forgettable to me. I think it's really interesting that him and Anne have the same scar, actually, because the scar is from a Pandoric disease that he's trying to find the cure for. I think that's his backstory. And Anne has the same type of scarring, so I'm curious to know if we'll ever get any more information on Anne and whether or not she has the same disease as Evergrey. Like, I wonder if that will be part of the storyline. I'm not sure. Just pure speculation. I feel like he's kind of odd, and I don't fully trust him yet. He's a little bit, in Star Stable Online at least, he's a bit of a newer character, and I feel like I haven't really fully connected with him in the same way as I was able to with the other characters. So I just don't have a lot to say about Evergrey, but I don't think he's a bad character. Let's do Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, she's not my favorite character ever, but I am gonna put her in the fierce category. Mainly because she's the first keeper of a dean that our character meets. She's kind of our guide. I feel like she's our guardian angel throughout the entirety of the main quests. And I can just appreciate that she's a very comforting character. And I think she's one of the realest characters. And I feel like Star Stable did a good job of dropping lore on her within the game. Like in Catherine's memories, there's some Elizabeth Sunbeam lore, and obviously, again, spoiler alert for the quests, you know, she passed away, and I just really hope Star Stable leaves it at that. I don't want any like revival trope or anything. I just want her to be gone, because I think we left off in a very sad, but I think it was a very noble ending for her, and I hope that Star Stable just leaves it alone. But she's fierce. Okay, let's do the Baroness. The Baroness, she's weird, okay? Buy flop. And some people might disagree with this one, but she locked up a child in the castle. She locked Linda in the Silverglade Castle so that nobody would find out about her affair with Mr. Sands, so I feel like it's only correct to put her in the same tier as Mr. Sands, because she stooped just as low as he did by locking a literal child in a castle to protect her own reputation and her own name. So yeah, she's a felon. She kidnapped Linda and kept her in the castle and just listened to her weep for however long she was trapped in there. Like, do you know how much therapy you'd have to go through to recover from being kidnapped? Like, I love her, don't get me wrong, I love her character design. I think she is, like, a diva in the sense of her fashion. I think she's classy, I think she's elegant, but I just can't get over the fact that, like, we are just letting her get away with a little kidnapping. I think it's weird. Okay, let's do Miss Holdsworth next. So I think that she's such a wonderful character. I really like how during the Halloween event she helps ghosts around the map. I think that her new character design suits her really well, and I have nothing but good things to say about her. If there ever comes a time when Fripp decides to blow up Jorvik, I think that she would choose to help us. So we're gonna put her in Who Is This Diva? Big Bonnie. Let's do Big Bonnie. She has a hyperfixation on clocks. She's the backbone of Silverglade Village, and I think that she deserves more recognition than she gets because she invented a whole robot that turns recyclables into clothing on the spot. Her character design is also top tier, and I love the steampunk look, although I found her a bit weird when I first started doing quests with her. I think she's been nothing but helpful, so we're gonna go ahead and put her in fierce. Farah. Farah's another reduce, reuse, recycle icon. She's a Pinterest girly and would definitely be found at like a farmer's market selling her handmade crochet items. She's humble, she minds her own business in her little corner shop in Valedale, which I feel like not many characters do. Her reputation quests were also some of the more rewarding ones because I really like the saddle pads and the bosals that we got from them. So she's going to be put right next to Miss Holdsworth in Who Is This Diva? Let's do Josh next. So Josh, I feel like, is a stereotypical frat boy who's going through a blonde phase. I imagine he'd work on a ranch in Montana while attending a party college. I think that he's a cool character, he's teenage heartthrob type, but I just don't have much else to say about him, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put him in forgettable. Justin. Justin is naive and a little bit dumb. How did this man end up working for Mr. Sands for 2 days before getting fired from his job working for Mr. Sands? He's the type of guy that would get fired from a grocery store for being bad at standing at the cash register, which, no hate to retail workers because I worked in food service. I feel like, to me, he's a little worse than forgettable solely because he's so stupid, so he's going in by flop. Thomas, Justin's dad, I'm gonna go ahead and put him right next to Josh in forgettable because he gives us the deed to our horse at the beginning of the main story quest, but that's about all he does, and then he kind of disappears off the face of the earth. So Steve is another forgettable character. No hate to him, he just does farmer activities and that's about it. John Jarl, colonizer by flop. It's giving sailed the ocean blue in 1492. Aideen was here first, not a man. John Jarl was not the first person on Jorvik, it was Aideen, and she created Jorvik, so let's just make sure that we all remember that fact. Mr. Anweir, straight to jail because he's actually a criminal. He was experimenting on wild horses and then threw a child off of a boat to escape, which is diabolical, and he needs to be put on a watch list. Okay, let's do Edfield next. This man talks way too much, and I don't trust his Wolf Hall Inn. It seems like it's a money laundering scheme. It's like the Wolf Hall Inn is a cover-up for something else, like a pyramid scheme. I don't know. He's overall just a weird guy, and I feel like he looks like a senator from like Texas or something, so bye flop. Mr. Campbell, straight to jail where he belongs. This man looked at Moreland and said, you know what would look good here? A Walmart parking lot. He's a typical millionaire who farts out money but still feels like he needs more. I don't think I need to say anything else. Gavin, I think he's forgettable. He's just weird and off-putting. The only bad thing he really did was fail at his job as a security guard. Herman, he's iconic. So grateful that he got me into Epona so I could buy every single Icelandic course as soon as I got in there. I have a twinge that he's up to something. There's something shady going on with him, whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but he's up to something besides retirement activities. So we're gonna go ahead and put him in fierce. Hannibal and Alexander, jail. Look how lifeless their eyes are. I don't need to say anymore. Okay, Lily Bones, she's fierce. She's fierce because she's a prankster and she likes to spend her free time spreading rumors about Loretta and making Loretta angry. And I think that a little lie as a treat is really fun. And she's just a girl. Okay, Mayor Peanut, I have some strong feelings about Mayor Peanut, okay? He did not do anything wrong. He's just a horse. And James has subjected him to being his vessel for his cash grabbing scheme. Is that not like a welfare concern? Not only that, but he gets fat shamed consistently by James and Ricky Winterwell. They tell him to go on a diet, they put him on a training routine, like he is just trying to enjoy his life and be a horse. They need to leave him alone. Mayor Peanut is fierce. Last, we have Nick Stoneground. This man chained himself to a fridge. His icon looks like a mugshot. I feel like he's strange and maybe a little shady, but overall, I think he's just another forgettable character, unfortunately. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will put a screenshot of the final tier list up on the screen. If you would like to make your own tier list using the format I created, I'm going to link it down below. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you have a torch and a pitchfork and you're on your way to my house because of some of these. I don't know. I'm gonna keep my doors and my windows locked. But the comment section is open to discussion. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.